Hello, 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 everybody in the Perfect Pup community. This is Deb. My name's Devin. Mike is coming shortly, hopefully. He told me to just start it. Maybe he's gonna just pull a prank and not ever come over. I'm not really sure. We'll see what happens there.
Coming, how to take care of one thing.
Oh, he's coming now. We've stolen a minute of his time.
I was gonna do Instagram, but I need this to charge at the same time.
Will it not work?
Well,
You can't get it to stand?
I'll figure it out. I got this.
Come on in, start asking questions. Tell us where you're from. Tell us something about your dog. Tell us a question, or ask us a question rather. Tell us all the things. We are excited to meet more and more of you every day. I am going to pin a comment in here. Oh. We'll kind of give it a few minutes just to allow more people to come in here, allow more people to get on this live, get their questions answered. We got Amy Buxton in here. Hello, Amy. Welcome. Sorry, I'm just getting this pinned post or pinned comment in here.
Oh, man. All right, I kind of had to finagle this Facebook Live here.
Mike's not really good at technology, so he's trying to figure something out over there. But is it good? We're good?
Great
okay.
technology. My phone, if you're watching on Instagram, there's a good chance baby's going to tip over.
Which would be kind of exciting, something to look forward to.
I wore my wolf shirt for the live today, and then I got a big old hole in my armpit over here today, apparently. I don't know what happened.
He was doing jumping jacks.
Not that I recall, but potentially.
Maybe it happened.
Welcome, everybody. We'll start out by just saying thanks for being in the community. We appreciate you guys being there. It's honestly so cool going in there and seeing all the interactions, seeing the help that everyone's giving to each other, seeing all you cute pups and how much they're changing your lives and how much you're changing their lives as the training's working better and better and better for them. So thanks for being in the community. Thanks for your consistency with training your pups because you're truly changing their lives. A little bit of history, since we always have a ton of people joining the group and there's a lot of new people that are on all the time. One of the reasons that we partnered with Zach to make this free 30-day training was that 96% of dogs that are relinquished to shelters have never had any type of real training in their lives. And so these pups are giving up and you can't blame them. You know, they never really had a chance. They were never given any of the training that they needed. So that's one of the reasons that we wanted to launch this training, and that's the reason why it was the only way that we would do it is if it was free. We wanted to provide a free resource that was as good as anything you could get paid online. And we feel that it is.
Yeah.
About anything else you find out there that you're paying for, online at least, we feel like this is as good as it. Especially if, for those of you who haven't joined the video courses, go do that. You're doing yourself a giant disservice if you haven't gone to pupford.com/training and signed up for the video part of this course. That's the meat and potatoes of the course. So you need to get over there and do that. The ebook is there as well. The support community here also. All these things, we feel they are as good or better than anything else you'll find online. And it was non-negotiable for us that it was going to be free because we wanted to provide just a really incredible resource and help pups stay out of shelters.
Give them a chance, basically.
Give them a chance, basically, yeah. I'm just going to close the door real quick.
Oh, he's closing the door. Let's jump right in because we got a good amount of people coming on here and we've already had some questions. We had a question from Amy Buxton. She asked, how do I help my dog be comfortable around new people because she is a little aggressive? So that's a great question. I'll preface this first of all that if you have serious issues with aggression or you're having serious problems with aggression, we definitely recommend finding a positive reinforcement trainer in your local area and enlisting their help. Just because...
regression or aggression?
Aggression.
Oh, okay.
Right? Yeah, aggression.
Okay,
No, you're good.
Keep going.
Just because aggression is the type of issue where if it's not fixed early or if it's not dealt with correctly, it can cause more problems. The dog can become more aggressive, more issues can occur. So like Mike was saying, our goal is to help people get the best resources as possible. And sometimes we understand that, a free online community or the videos might not always be the best solution. So potentially look into getting enlisting the help of a positive reinforcement dog trainer. Some of them will even let you just book one session, just so that you can at least kind of get all the information from them and then go and practice it on your own. But sometimes it's best to get the help of an in-person trainer. Just want to kind of preface our answer with that. Yeah. Did you have something you want to add to that?
No, I was going to say for sure. Even with so we recently launched the one-on-one training sessions that are available as well. So you can do a video session with a certified dog trainer, 30-minute, 60-minute, 3-package of an hour or 5-pack of an hour, and some of those come with treats too. But anyway, even with that, we don't recommend, if there's aggression issues, we don't recommend doing that in the one-on-one training, even if you have a trainer watching, just because a behavior like that is best solved in person. If a trainer has the ability to interact with the dog, see what kind of things potentially set them off, and see how they interact with other individuals and other dogs, something in person is definitely the best way to do it. And with something like that, it's usually better to get help sooner rather than later. The last thing you want is to have an aggression issue and either have it get so bad that it becomes much more difficult to solve, or have an aggression issue that's getting worse and worse and leads to your pup biting someone or biting another dog, or having an issue like that. So aggression is one where we definitely recommend using using a positive reinforcement trainer, and then just finding someone in your area. That's the best way to solve it. It's best to do it sooner rather than later. It will be well worth it in the long run, even if it costs you a few bucks. One, it's worth the life of the dog if they end up doing something that heaven forbid they bite someone or something like that. And then two, if you fix it sooner rather than later, you're going to pay a lot less to have a minor aggression problem fixed than you will to have a major aggression problem fixed. So fix it sooner rather than later, and find someone that you like and trust in your area. And you know what? If you have a trainer in your area that you're wondering about and you want us to vet them for you, send them to us in a DM. We'd love to take a look at any of these people. Heck, we'd even call them and talk to them if you wanted us to. So just let us know.
And if you are needing extra help, just even finding someone who would be positive reinforcement and trustworthy, you can DM us and we'll send you the link. There's some really great websites that kind of aggregate a lot of different positive reinforcement trainers in certain areas. So if you need more help with that, our DMs are open. We had Audrey, I think it was, sorry if I said this wrong, on Instagram saying that she's been using the course and seeing tons of improvements, and from what I remember on the comment, it made it sound like her dog is cuter now because of it. So
hey, now we're
not
talking.
only does training help your dog become more well-behaved,
Can we
but
claim
also they
that
become,
on the website?
Yeah, 10% increase in puppy cuteness when you do the 30-day perfect pup class.
And some pups is near impossible to get cuter, so
that's quite a claim.
Fantastic, I like it.
We had a question here from Johanna, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Joanna. Doyle. So she had a similar question to Amy's, which was, how do we handle a 16-week-old pup that is generally sweet but will growl and snap aggressively if we discipline her? So kind of multiple questions within this one question, because is it only happening if you discipline, and are you using harsh discipline? I'm just asking just because I don't know the situation for sure. And then I would also say that a 16-week-old puppy, it's typically not what you would call quote-unquote aggression. They're just very mouthy. They're very, reactive to the things around them. But what we said to Amy would possibly correlate to what you're saying as well, with if you really feel like it is aggression. We might need to have, if you want to DM us again, we can have a better conversation, just because there's a lot of questions on this. We had a great question. Rachel said, we really appreciate all the help with our puppy.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Glad you're here. So while you're looking at your next one, I'm going to cover one here too.
Okay.
So we got some papers here listing some that were asked as well that we've seen. So Cassie Stoddard said, how to help a dog adjust to a newborn baby. So when we brought our first daughter home, our dog Doris she was about 2. And I think she was 2-ish when we brought Ren home, our first daughter. And I don't know if you have already brought the baby home and you have the dog there or not, but one thing that we did is before we brought the baby home, we brought home some articles of her clothing so that the dog from the hospital, before we brought the baby back, so the dog could smell it, kind of start to familiarize with the baby and what was new to come. But I don't know how many. I think the best advice that we can give for this, without getting into like too many specifics, would just be overly cautious. Your dog's dealing with something new. Babies are volatile. You never know how they're going to react. They could be screaming one second and smiling the next. They're stinky one second, they're not stinky the next. So just be overly cautious with everything you do. Very slowly introduce the baby to the dog. Always monitor when the dog is near the baby. Don't leave the dog in the room alone with the baby, even no matter how long you've had the dog and how much you trust it. It's not worth any type of incident, and it's a totally new situation for the dog. So you can't really, you're putting them in a hard situation by introducing them to a volatile creature that they don't understand. So take it very slowly. Monitor the environment, always control the environment when you're doing it, and do it I know I've said this 3 or 4 times, do it slowly. Be careful with it. If your dog is, one thing that we did that worked pretty well, if your dog's used to being on the couch, it's probably worth teaching them to stay off the couch or only get on the couch when they're invited up onto the couch. That's probably a safe bet to have when you have a newborn or a young baby. But I don't know. It's kind of it's a really sensitive situation. So that would be my best advice, is just like take it very slowly and be very careful as you make that adjustment with your dog.
And one thing that I would add is, for those of you who are watching that have young puppies still, and maybe that's the case for Cassie, do as much as you can to kind of just obviously be tactful about it, especially if you do have an older dog or a rescue and you don't know how they're going to respond to these things. But if you have a young puppy that you're kind of starting training from square one, do as much as you can to kind of pull on their ears, grab their tail,
bug them,
poke them in the eye, poke them in the eye, but no, seriously, do all of that you can. I mean, we did
you
that
need
with
to desensitize them.
Exactly. We did that with our puppies from day one. We don't have kids, but we have a lot of nieces and nephews that are around them, and it was super helpful because there have been multiple times where a nephew or whatever comes up, and before you even have time to even pull them away or anything, they're poking them in the ear or poking their stomach or yanking their tail. And our dogs were lucky enough that we desensitized them to those things, and so they were able to know, okay, I'm not going to react to that, I'm not going to respond to that. So do as much as you can. I think Zach kind of covers it as well in one of the videos, I think the one about puppy biting. But just work with your dog, get them used to having hands around them, around all parts of their body, just they can be used to children, and when they need to go to the vet or the groomer or whatever it may be, just desensitizing them as much as you can. It'll just be so important in the long run. We had another question here in the comments from Aaron Monahan. He said, the question was, is it beneficial to establish a strict schedule of crating versus free time in the house for a 9-week-old puppy, even if I'm home all day with my pup, as Zach's example schedule in the ebook suggests? I would say yes, 100%. And the reason being is a lot of problem behaviors, whether it be going potty in the house or chewing on things they're not supposed to or whatever it may be, it comes back to us as the pup parents to kind of set our dogs up for success and prevent those things from happening. And that's where the schedule, in conjunction with the crate, in conjunction with having specific potty times feeding times, is going to help your dog to, number one, set a schedule and understand when things are going to happen throughout the day, and number two, it's going to help you avoid problem behaviors. If you've got your dog in the crate whenever you're not around them, or if the schedule is going to help you in the long run to be able to be in control of the situation. Like Zach talks about, that is so much of dog training, especially in the beginning, is controlling the environment, you dictating kind of what is going to be happening for your dog so that you can be preemptive and proactive instead of always being reactive to what problem behaviors are popping up or when they go pee in the house or whatever it is. So I would say yes, stick to the schedule. Everyone's schedules are different throughout the day, but do your best to stick to some type of schedule, whether it's modified or whatever it may be.
So Erin asked from our post yesterday, and there's another part of the question too. She said, also my pup is content to sleep in the cage, but when he's done napping, or if I need to put him in the crate to run an errand, for example, he gets very antsy and cries and chews on the bars. How do I extinguish this behavior and help him be comfortable for periods of time when he's not asleep? So part of the best way to do that is just slowly introduce it to him. So when you're introducing the crate, and we'll take even a step back further, when you're very first introducing a pup to the crate, put some treats in there, get them to go into the crate and leave the doors open and let them come in and out whenever they want. Do that for a while until they become more familiar with the crate. After doing that for a while, you can start to close the doors for a minute. But first, do it for a couple minutes, just 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and then open the door and reward with a treat so that they know, hey, that's not so bad. I eventually will get out of here, even though 5 minutes feels like 5 years to a puppy. Yeah. Take it slow and then work up time as you go along, and then help them understand, look, you're not in there forever. You will get out. When you behave properly in there, you're rewarded when you get out as well. So I would say slowly work up from 30 seconds to a minute to a few minutes to longer and longer, and that'll help as you're introducing your pup to be able to stay in their crate for longer periods of time. And I'll just reiterate what Devin said. A crate should not be viewed as a cage. A crate should be a den. It should be a safe place. It should be somewhere where your dog prefers to go, not just somewhere where they're comfortable, but where they even like to go.
Yeah.
Our pup Doris, it's like her favorite place in the house. She'll go there and she'll lay there anytime that even if she just feels like it, or anytime that she's anxious. Most of the time where she'll go is straight to her crate. If fireworks are going outside or something like that that's making her a little nervous, a lot of times she'll run straight to her crate and she'll lay there and she'll feel much more comfortable. So kind of taking us on a tangent here, but I would say just generally, we've seen some discussion in the community about crates and, I feel bad leaving my dog in there, or is it terrible to cage them up in it for certain periods of time or things like that. But I would say use it as a safe place for your pup, and if you introduce it correctly, it will be a safe place and they'll love being there.
Yeah, for sure. I like that. Stephanie Burks said, wait, you're in Indiana? We're not. We're in Utah. Maybe I said Indiana or something. I don't know.
What'd you do?
I don't know what I said. Right here. Wait, you're in Indiana?
Oh, no. Sorry,
I think you were talking to us. We're in Utah. But,
she's talking to somebody else here.
Yeah, I don't know. So we had another really good question here from Sarit. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but Sarit asked, our 5-month-old puppy is very sweet and playful, but he does try to bite while playing, especially when my 9-year-old brother is playing with him. Is there a reason for why he bites him specifically more often, and how do we remedy that? Great question. It can be a little bit tough to know the exact answer to this without us seeing how the interaction is happening, but a lot of it may be that your brother, right? Yeah, your 9-year-old brother might just need a little bit more time, maybe helping with training, however that might look for you. Having your brother help you do some of the training sessions, or finding a way to incorporate him so that the dog is a little bit more comfortable with your brother could be one great start. And another one, just another thought about the biting while playing. What type of play are you doing? I mean, there's a lot of kind of things that could go into that, I guess. But one thing I might recommend that I know that has helped a lot, especially for people with younger kids in the house, even up to like teenager age, is using a flirt pole. So if you're not familiar with a flirt pole, it's basically like a kind of just a pole that you hold, and it's got a string and a little toy on the end, and it allows you to kind of play with your dog, get them running back and forth. They can chase after, they can tug on it a little bit, and then but you have that distance because of the flirt pole. And if you want, we can kind of send you a message about that or leave a comment about it. A lot of people swear by flirt poles just because it helps them, especially with young kids, kind of keep distance from the puppy, but still be playing with them and have that interaction and build that relationship while you're still overcoming the puppy biting, essentially.
Yeah. We had a question on Instagram. Totally forgot your name. I'm so sorry. But it was about counter surfing and staying out of the garbage. So the biggest thing you can do with this one is controlling the environment. Once your pup gets onto the counter and realizes there's something delicious there and they get a taste of that, that is going to be a huge driver for them. And it's a hard habit to break.
Yeah.
Because they know there is a massive reward on the other end of that jumping on the table, right? So the biggest thing is, first of all, control the environment. So if you need to get a garbage can that has a lid that closes, that needs a step to open or something like that.
That's what we have.
That's probably the first step in the right direction.
Yeah.
And then as far as counters go, keep stuff off the counters. Put it away. Those are the first steps you need to take to avoid counter surfing and getting in the garbage. As you teach your pup a strong leave it, that will help as you go along, because you'll understand, leave it and off would be another good one, but as you teach a strong leave it, that's going to help them stay off the counter. It's going to help them stay out of the garbage. But really the biggest thing, like, what's up, Tyler? The biggest thing, like so many things in dog training, is controlling the environment. Whether you're leash training, whether you're keeping your pup off the counter, whatever it is, control the environment. So keep food off the counters, find the right type of garbage can. Those are two big steps in the right direction, and it's probably your best solution for solving those problems as well.
Yeah.
And then as they get older and they get better and better with leave it, and they get more mature, and if it's been a long time between times that they've counter surfed and been rewarded accidentally by finding something delicious, they're going to get better and better at that. But that's one that takes a while, but like I said, control the environment's your best solution.
And that might last for a while, where you need to just control the environment, keep things off of the counters, because like Mike said, I mean, they're dogs. Like, they're not robots. Like, if they see something on the counter that's super enticing to them, no matter how well behaved they are probably still going to be tempted to go up there and get it, or at least check it out. So do as much as you can to be proactive and control the environment.
One time,
it's my favorite Doris story.
One time,
I already know what it is.
So we'd had kind of a rough day, and our neighbor brought us some cinnamon rolls, like a whole plate of cinnamon rolls, and we were putting the kids down for bed just in a total hurry, not even thinking. And Doris got on the counter and ate the entire plate of cinnamon rolls. And I was so, like, we were upstairs putting the girls down. I was like so excited to go down afterwards and have some cinnamon rolls. And we get down there and they were gone. I was like, this is a joke. You got to be kidding me, Nick. It's kind of a rough day already anyway. But yeah, Doris, she's a character.
Yeah, it happens.
Okay, really quick, while you're looking up the next one, just wanted to, as you guys know, we're pretty non-promotional. However, we feel like we've got some pretty awesome products. So we would very much regret if we didn't talk about some of these things a little bit more. So I just want to bring up the training treats. These are freeze-dried beef liver, 95% freeze-dried beef liver, 5% pea protein. I'm telling you, everybody loves these. Like, pretty much every single dog that has ever had them likes them. We've had a number of people who said, my dog's not a fan of treats, but they love these treats.
Yep.
And I know we're biased, but seriously, they are good. They are really, really good. Not only does it taste awesome, less than 2 calories per treat, simple ingredients. It's an awesome product for pups that because when you're doing dedicated training sessions especially. So it can be a reward anytime or a treat anytime, but they're especially perfect for training sessions because you can continue to give treats without adding too much to your pup's daily caloric intake. We mentioned this on the last video, but good rule of thumb, you don't want your dog's daily calorie intake of treats to exceed 10% of their total diet. So something to keep in mind. That's why low-calorie treat is so important, because you can do longer training sessions. You don't have to worry about fattening your pup up. So they're awesome. We hope that you guys will try them. If you haven't tried them yet, give them a try. I promise your pup will like them. All of them have. It's pretty wild, the amount of people that really, really love them.
Yeah, they have been a game changer for us at
Anyway.
our house training. So
We had a great question here from Teresa. So Teresa Murphy asked, my 7-month-old pup is generally pretty good with my 9-year-old dog, but he doesn't always listen when she's done playing. She gives him a correction or cue when she's done, and he'll continue to go back and nip at her legs, etc. He stops when we intervene. How should we go about this behavior? Should we be intervening or let them work it out for themselves?
So right off the bat, we have 2 lab puppies under 2 years old, and then we have a 12-year-old puggle. And our youngest lab loves harassing the puggle. I mean, it's out of control. Like, it's almost to the point that it's funny, just because it happens so often. And really, over time, I mean, we're still there to monitor and make sure nothing bad is going to happen.
But for the most part, the older dog, our Puggle, has kind of taught the lab, like, hey, these are the boundaries. And if it gets too excessive, then he'll make sure she understands, look, like, that is too much, back off kind of thing. Not so much that it's ever turned into like aggression or a real fight, but that's a really big reason why socialization is so important. So having your dog be around a lot of different other dogs, and playing it from a young age, playing with other dogs around them and being involved with other dogs. Dogs kind of have a way of teaching each other, like, okay, this is okay, this is over the line, this is just play. So that would be my recommendation is, keep an eye on it. And if you feel like you need to intervene and pull them away, then, redirect the puppy into some training or to, a chew toy or into a game of fetch or whatever it may be to kind of give the older dog a rest. But for the most part, what I've noticed is that they'll do a pretty good job of kind of keeping each other in check, but still always be there to monitor and, if anything does go out of line, I guess. But,
yeah, no, it sounds good. Nikki Tapia had a question on the post from yesterday announcing the live today. Yesterday? Whenever it was. Announcing live today. So we'll just answer that real quick. She said, do you have to transition Pupford food as a topper? If so, how? So this is just a general recommendation with whenever you're sorry, let me just step back. My mouth got like a little bit ahead or behind or whatever it does.
Yeah,
so always transition foods when you're making an adjustment. So we recommend 7 to 8 day transition between two different foods. At first, just add in a quarter of the new food, remove a quarter of the old food for a couple days, then go half and half for a couple days, then go 3/4 new food, 1/4 old food for a couple days, and then eventually after 7 or 8 days, you're going to transition all the way to the new food. With Pupford specifically, what's really nice about it is it can be used as a full meal, and it's AFCO compliant for all stages of life and nutritionally balanced in that way. But it can also be used as a really nice topper to improve taste and nutrition. So especially with people that have bigger dogs, it is a more expensive dog food. We totally understand that. If you have a bigger dog, it's definitely harder to feed your dog full Pupford just because it's more expensive. So if you have budget limitations, that can be an issue, and we understand that. But you can still use it as just a topper. So if you have your old dog food and you wanted to use it as a quarter or half mixed with their old dog food, like I said, it's a great way to improve taste and nutrition because there's the minimally processed ingredients in there that are going to add more nutritional benefits for your pup. So yeah, we would recommend, going back to your question, Nikki, definitely transition over a 7 to 8 day period anytime you're swapping dog food. And even if you use it as a topper, we would probably recommend using it as just replacing a quarter of the food for the first couple days. And then if you're going to go half and half, the next couple days you can move to half and half, and then that would be your full transition there if you're just using it as a topper long term.
Yeah, definitely. We had another question in the comments from Kenneth Spader. The question was, how would you stop a dog from barking at runners or people a little distance away? It's not aggressive, loves everyone, just barks. My dog is guilty of this as well. And what has worked the best for us has been kind of, again, the proactive exposure. So if you know your dog is a little bit freaked out by people running, or maybe it's people on bicycles or other dogs, there's also a great video from Zach that we can put in the comments here. But essentially, you're going to want to go where these things are happening. So maybe go to a trail, a running trail that you can get a distance from, and get your dog on a leash, get your pup into a sit, have them look at you, reward, and then move a little bit closer until you're kind of at their threshold, right? Because there's probably a certain distance where your dog kind of loses their focus and just is super reactive to the people running by or whatever it may be. So, keep moving backwards and backwards and backwards until you get to a point where your dog will focus on you and will take a reward. Mm-hmm. And then, do a little mini training session right there, and then move just a couple feet closer and try and do it again. So again, it's kind of setting up the situations beforehand, just because, I think myself included, like we, as pup parents, we get a little bit guilty of, or a little guilty of, wanting to think, okay, well, I've taught my dog how to look at me, or I've taught them how to sit, like, why won't they do it in this crazy high distraction environment? And I think we just need to remember to set our dogs up for success by practicing beforehand, before these situations ever even occur. Just because if you want, we have to tell our dogs how we want them to behave. That's a really big part of, positive reinforcement is it's not just, teaching them what not to do, but it's teaching them what to do in specific situations. So find that threshold of where they will focus on you, get them to focus, do a little bit of training, and then move a little bit closer, move a little bit closer. It might take, multiple hours across different days of practicing this, but it's just that exposure of helping them understand, hey, these people running by are safe. You're looking at me, you're getting a reward, and we're going to move a little bit closer and just keep practicing and practicing that.
Yeah, working on distraction training generally will help with that a lot. Like even if you're in your own house, and there's somebody walking around and you're teaching a good look at me and focus with that type of stuff, that'll help a ton to start building that foundation for asking them to focus on you when you're in way more distracting environments. So in your home, in the backyard, around the neighborhood, practice those that distraction training and focus and look at me in those environments, and then it'll be much easier when you get into an environment with like somebody running by or something like that.
Yeah. We had 2 questions that are similar. I can't remember who asked it the first time.
This one from Steven?
No, this one about excited peeing.
Oh, okay, yeah. So questions about excited peeing too. So that one thing to consider with that is it is a submissive behavior. So when a dog is excited peeing, generally what that means is they're saying, "Hey, I'm not a threat." So it's better than the alternative of having an aggressive dog, obviously. But one thing to consider with that is don't scold your dog when this happens, because it only exacerbates the problem. So be sure when your dog does have an excited pee, the best way to approach that is just kind of ignore the situation, have them go out for a potty break, and then have them come back in. If it's happening when you're first greeting the dog, it comes back to controlling the environment. So personally that you need to do it, but if you come home with someone else, then make sure you talk to them beforehand too and say, look, my dog has an issue with excited peeing, we're working on it. Please ignore them for just a minute when you first see them. So when you first come in and you first greet them, don't greet them all excitedly and have like a really loud, excited greeting. Instead, ignore them for just a minute. As hard as it is when you have a cute puppy that you're coming home to, ignore them for a minute. Give them a chance to allow their emotions to normalize a little bit. Because that's one thing with puppies is they just are overly excited. It's great. It's fantastic that they love seeing you, but they don't know how to control that fully. So give them a chance to normalize their emotions, calm down a little bit before you greet them, and that'll help reduce the amount of excited peeing that happens typically. A lot of times it gets better as they get older as well, and sometimes it's just an age thing where you can do these things to kind of put control measures in place, but it'll also take time, and it'll take patience, and it'll take continually working with them, and they'll slowly get better and better as they get older too. If it's a continual issue for a long, long time, you may also consider asking your vet about any type of UTI issues also. Sometimes you'll see that where you think it's excited peeing, but sometimes there is a UTI and they have an infection, and that's causing them to have bladder or potty issues also. So something to consider there. If you're seeing it for a long time, it might be worth getting checked on that too. Just sometimes it's better safe than sorry.
And on a similar note to what Mike was touching on there at the end of, kind of staying patient. So we've had a couple questions in the comments. We had a couple questions from the post yesterday. One of them, Zach Dunn asked, puppy follows lure for down, but will not go down by command only. Have been working on down for a few weeks now. We have another question in here. I'm going to make them all tie in. From Amber that says, what's the best way to stop biting and chewing? We have a 13-week-old lab. I know she's still young, but I'd love to train her correctly. We had another question talking about, is there a way to prevent the going out 12 million times when I know they don't need to go potty? A kind of, I don't want it to sound like a cop-out answer, but sometimes the answer to a lot of these is just keep at it and stay patient. With the biting, with the, for example, you feel like your dog should be picking up a behavior or a skill quicker than they are, or whatever it may be. Every dog is going to learn and grow at a different pace, just like us as humans, right? Like, we learn and we understand things at a lot different paces and at different intervals, and it's the same with our pups. So I would say don't set a specific expectation of, oh, my dog needs to learn how to lay down with just the cue word within 2 weeks, and if not, what am I doing wrong, or what's the issue? It's, sometimes, like for example, I have 2 labs, they're very, very similar, but for one of them's super good at stay, and the other one, it's like she just can't wrap her head around it. And we train them the same way, and they're in the same environments, and they're just different personalities, right? Like, we know that our dogs have a specific personality, and part of it is just understanding that, you know, it might take some patience. It might just take, you know, continuing on with what we're teaching in this class, what you're reading, you know, in the ebook that's part of the class, what you're watching on Zach's videos, and just staying patient and being consistent. Consistency is so important in training, just because, you know, dogs are creatures of habit, and the more you can just continue on those behaviors, you'll see it. It just takes time sometimes, and it's hard, right? Like, just with anything in life, you want those results quickly, but with a lot of behaviors, it's just not going to happen that way. And again, I know that kind of sounds like a cop-out answer to a lot of your questions, but it's just the truth. It's just kind of how it's the nature of training a dog.
Yeah, it takes a while. It takes a ton of consistency and a ton of practice. One additional tip for Zach done there, you know, I don't know exactly what you've been doing, but if you have a high value treat and you're able to lure and lure and lure and lure and lure and just like reaffirm that over and over and over and over again, while you're using a verbal command with that also, eventually they'll start to get it without the lure. It'll take some time, it will, but it is all about just continuing to practice over and over and over and over. And as your pup gets older, they will start to figure that out, and they'll start to make those associations for sure. So another thing we wanted to talk about, didn't get any specific questions on this, but I thought it was worth covering. We've had a few people commenting recently, something to the effect of, holy cow, this is really freaking hard. Am I the only one? So our answer is, no, you're not the only one. Puppies are hard. They're so hard. They're the cutest thing in the world, and it's really easy to deal with them when it's someone else's puppy. But when that puppy is with you 24/7 or for extended periods of time, and it's your dog and your responsibility, it's a different world, right? So we'll just say this. Keep at it. Give yourself a little bit of credit. You're doing better than you're probably giving yourself credit for.
Yeah.
It's hard work. Absolutely it is. And puppies can be insanely frustrating. The barking can drive you crazy. The biting can drive you crazy. The potty accidents can drive you crazy. There are a lot of things with little puppies that can drive you crazy. But if you're consistent and you're patient and you're willing to just like continue to work with them for a long time, it's going to be a giant pain, but you're going to get through it. I promise. Your pup will get better, and the relationship that you have with them, just generally because they're a dog, and it's great to have relationships with dogs, but also because you were the trainer in that situation, your bond is only going to be that much stronger with them. So just take hope in that you're not the only one experiencing that. Everyone who's had a puppy is experiencing that before, has experienced that before. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's going to get better, I promise. You might come through with a few holes in your shirts. Maybe I ran into a puppy. Maybe that's how I got this hole in my shirt. I don't remember that. I feel like I'd remember it.
Could have happened.
Anyway.
Sneak attack,
yeah. Maybe it was this dog that bit. That was stupid.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
We can just edit that out.
Can we
We'll cut that.
rewind
Well, no,
this
we'll just
live?
cut that out.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, I
This
know.
is live. Okay.
So, anyway, if you've got a puppy, it's hard. You'll get through it. I promise. There's been a lot of other people in the group who've had the same experiences, and it will be worth it. You can do it. Give yourself a little bit of credit, and just keep on pushing through, and it'll be good. I promise you, it'll be worth it at the end.
And I'll just add, additionally, just like how much it will be worth it. I mean, a lot like with anything in life, you put in the kind of the crappy times in the beginning sometimes to like learn a skill or, you know, learn a new whatever it may be for yourself. It's the same thing with your dog. You fight through those kind of crappy days, the crappy months, maybe it's years, but I mean, like I said, we have a 12-year-old Puggle now, and he's just like the best dog on the planet, partially just because he's so old and so funny, but like because, you know, there was the kind of like suffering months of, I mean, he was a crazy biter. He was like out of control. My wife was like, she got him when she was younger, and she was just like so afraid of him and would just be so sad all the time because he was always biting her. But it's like now he, you know, the continual practice, the continual just being consistent, he's just like the best dog ever now, and we love him. So it's like, it'll be worth it. That's what we're saying. Like, stay with it, because the relationship that you'll build with your dog is going to just like surpass anything that you can imagine as you're like looking at that dog and just wanting to cry because they just keep biting you. So
Yeah.
Stay with it. Like,
And so it's super cliche, and I almost don't want to say it, but like, just enjoy the journey, because your pup is going to change really quickly, and all the cute little things they do now, they're probably not going to be doing them in a little while, in a couple of years. So enjoy those little things too. Like, figure out how to enjoy it as you go along, and it'll be a much more fulfilling experience as you're raising your pup. So.
And then we want to just add again, like Mike said, we try not to be overly promotional, but we are also on the last day of our launch deal for our split elk antlers. They're a great option for dogs that love to chew. We recommend them for,
Also, hi Bree.
Hi Bree. Bree
Say
George.
hello.
Just
Good to
joined
see
us.
you. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay. It's the last day of our, kind of special launch pricing for these split elk antlers. They're great for chewers. They are a very natural treat. Ours are all organically shed. We source them here in the Rocky Mountains area. They're a great option for chewers. We recommend them for, dogs that have their adult teeth for safety reasons, but definitely check them out. They can just, a lot of dogs love them.
Yeah.
That's all we'll say about those. There's a link. I pinned it in the comments. Go check them out if you want. We had another really good question from Stephanie Burks, and I had seen this in a couple other posts just within the community. The question was, any tips on training two at the same time besides separating them? They do fine by themselves but go crazy together. So I have a lab that's almost 2, and then the other one's about 6-7 months younger than her. And when they were younger, they were just definitely probably what you're explaining, where they just go crazy when they're together. Separate, they're fine. I would keep working separately. It will definitely help, because like we've talked about, it can take 6 months to a year to really ingrain and really kind of just help these behaviors become permanent in our dogs' minds and in their abilities, essentially. So realistically, for 6 months to a year, you might just be doing a lot of things separately, whether it's walking on leash, whether it's doing specific training, even playing, whatever it may be. Training them separately is just going to help you, number one, improve the relationship with each dog individually, and number two, eventually you'll get to the point where, and Zach has a video about this as well that we can drop in the comments, where you'll have one dog, you'll have them do a down and a stay, and then you'll be doing some other behavior training with the other dog, and dog number one just thinks that they're practicing a down stay, which they are, but you're able to do these other behaviors with the second dog. But you need both of them to be able to handle those types of behaviors first. So for dog one to be able to stay with these distractions and with other things happening with dog number two, it's probably going to take a few months, multiple months, to get your dog really, really good at a stay, really, really good at a lay down and staying in their place. So I would say continue to train them separately, but still give them time to play together, right? Like I'm sure they love playing together.
It's
Our
healthy,
dogs
yeah.
too. Yeah.
Super helpful
Yeah.
for them. So cool. We good?
Yeah, I'm sure we missed some questions, and if we did, we'll try and come back and hit them in the comments. But again, we just want to. Bree says, "Cool shirt, Mike. Devin's is okay too."
Hey,
Yeah, well,
Devins is good. Look at that.
it's pretty cool.
I mean, this is like raw, wildly canine, though, and this is a little more refined.
Yeah, that's
Both good.
That kind
Both
of
good for
explains
certain
who
purposes, you know?
Yeah, I think I'm just a little bit more refined than you in general.
Fair.
It's probably part of it. Before we get off, we do just want to give one other kind of, background. We kind of talked about it earlier about why we created the training, but here at Pupford, we really have 3 things that we believe in for dogs and what's going to help them have the happiest, most fulfilled life, and it's companionship, nutrition, and training. That's why we have this free training class. That's why we offer the dehydrated dog food, the training treats. We have the training tools like the long lead and the chew toy, all those different types of things, because when those 2 things are met, it really helps you build that stronger level of companionship with your dog. And that's, everything we do, that's what we believe in. When we're creating new blog posts on the website, when we're coming out with new products, when we're, trying to find videos to help with different problems, we really feel like all of what's important, well, it's hard to say everything, but almost everything with our dogs just comes back to those 3 kind of core competencies of companionship, nutrition, and training. And we just truly believe that when dogs are given those 3 things in the correct ways, number one, they're going to stay in their forever homes. And that's super important to us. We all know that there is a huge problem in the United States specifically with just an excess of shelter dogs and dogs that don't have homes, and we want to help fix that. And number 2, it's just going to help you have a stronger bond with your pup. And that's really everything that we're about at Pupford, is helping you build a stronger relationship with your dog. And we hope that we have been able to help a lot of you with that. We've seen comments and stories that has been happening, but that is our just at the root.
Yeah.
That's our hope. That's
Yeah.
that's why we're here in front of you right now.
100%.
Yeah.
Totally agreed.
Thanks
for
again.
joining us. Thanks for being in the community. If there's anything we do, please let us know. We're just so grateful for you guys for being a part of the community and participating and helping each other and being involved. So hope everybody has a great rest of their Monday. It's a great start to the week.
It is.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.